This episode of the Fight Within podcast is presented to you by Meguiar's. For over 115 years, Meguiar's has been carefully creating and producing advanced formulas with cutting-edge chemistry to deliver a show car perfect appearance. Whether you're showing on the fairway, finalizing your car for auction, or simply getting your beloved car ready for a weekend drive, Meguiar's is ready to help with their premium car care products to make every automotive surface look its absolute best. Meguiar's, reflect your passion. Make sure to visit them at meguiars.com.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fight Within podcast. Today's guest is professional fighter Bryant the Beast Shell. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
your
Thanks for
time.
having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
So tell us a little bit about your backstory and kind of how you got to where you're at now.
Well, I'll give you the short tidbit of it because, there's a long story of it. I don't know how much time we have for that.
As long as you
We
want.
want the good story.
That's
Yeah.
right. There you go. Well, I was born in Riverside. Spent almost all my life in San Bernardino. I know we spoke briefly about the difference between San Bernardino and parts of Orange County.
Yeah.
Huge difference. So I came up kind of rough and tough. Definitely, I had my mother and my father. My mother was a former military. My father, former Marine.
Okay.
Did
I
20
didn't know
plus
that.
years. Did it until they kicked him out, pretty much.
Yeah.
My mom, immigrant from the Philippines. So they're both hardworking parents. They did their best to kind of keep me, what I want to say, secluded from all the noise of San Bernardino, because I don't know if you know, it's one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S.,
Say a lot
California.
of gang stuff.
A lot of that. And of course, as much as my parents tried to withhold me from it, I kind of fell into it one way or another. You look at it, you kind of idolize it.
Yeah.
As funny as stereotypical as it sounds, see these guys with nice cars,
Yep.
nice change, money, look like they're living the life, big system in the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, why not? I kind of want to do this,
Yeah.
So I kind of fell down that route. And like I said, don't get me wrong, my parents did a great job keeping me from all that stuff. But it's kind of hard to keep from that. Anyways, fast forward, I was living out in Colton. As you said, I'm an MMA fighter. I'd been doing a few smokers here and there, little backyard at home workouts, thinking I was a fighter. You see things on TV
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I'm doing the same thing. Yeah, I'm running the stairs and this and that, And I came across the gym, the Yakuza Dojo in Colton. Guys were out there training. I was like, man, this looks sick. Maybe I could do this. So I fell in there. They're like, hey, why not come out tomorrow? Come out 8 o'clock. We got a class going on. I came over there, and I promise you, I've never gotten my ass kicked any worse than that. Got hit that hard, neck pain for probably like 2 weeks plus.
Yeah.
But as soon as I walked out of that gym, I was like, this is what I want to do. It's just a life changer.
You just knew it.
That's it. That was it. And along the same time that happened, my first son was on his way. Bryant Jr. Shouts to Bryant Jr. He was on his way, and it kind of lit a fire on me. It was like, if you're going to get after, you want to do something, you want to lay a foundation, you want something to be proud of, you want something that you could pass on, to your family, to your legacy, to your son. And it made me push harder, made me really start pursuing it, which was about 2015.
Okay.
And that's when I really, really started getting in after it. Trying to figure out things, on my own. And fast forward 3 years later, I didn't touch on all this points, but I had another son, Maximus. Shouts to Maximus. But like I said, come from San Bernardino. You're either doing the drugs or you're selling the drugs.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, their mother fell into the doing it part. So I went through a lot of court battles, which kind of lit a fire on me, but also put a hold on things. But it kind of made me relook at things and what I had to do with my life and change things because I got to get my boys. So honestly, I worked my ass off. Somehow got full custody, physical and legal custody on my sons. And they're definitely my leading motivators,
Yeah.
That's huge. That's insane. That's cool that you had we've had guests in the past talk about like life altering moments. Like if you could look back to one point of life, and so obviously there's several, but for you, like gaining custody of your sons, it was twofold, right? Like you had to slow down because you have responsibilities,
Yeah.
but at the same time, those responsibilities are fueling your fire.
Definitely.
And I think when you hear stories about that, and when guys or girls take that approach and actually use it to their advantage, like there's no other greater motivation than your family, right? Being a provider for your children. And I don't think people understand like the gravity of that until you're a parent. Like, and nothing against people that aren't parents, but your children are, dude, those are I would do anything for my kids.
Oh, definitely.
Anything.
For sure. But
we were kind of talking a little bit before, so 2015 is where you really started getting after it. During this process of you becoming a fighter, like you've had to make money. So what were you doing? Because you know, unless you had the luxury of just quitting everything and just training 24/7 and living in the gym and living a fighter's life, which I don't think that's the case. But if it was, like, awesome. But how were you still finding a way to provide for your boys while still, you know, pursuing your dream?
Well, coming out of high school, I didn't go down the route of let me go to college, let me get a degree and all that stuff, which definitely regret, you know, kids stay in school. Anyways, I fell upon what they call the CNA program, like nurse assistant.
Yeah.
So a lot of my family members, aunts, uncles, and all that, they're nurses and all that, and I was thinking about a way that I can make, you know, faster, stable cash. So I fell into that. Part of that, I was trying to go the business school route, trying to pursue psychology and all that, but I was kind of just at a loss. So the thought was, I just got to make money now. It's like you said, we don't all have the ability unless, like, you're living at home with your parents or whatnot.
Yeah.
You don't have the ability to just kind of just train. That'd be fun, though. But I wasn't there, and I'm definitely not there now either. So I stuck to that regular, you know, 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Which, as funny as it sounds, it definitely made me feel different. You know, there's these other kids, other cats in here who are, all they do is train. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
Yet I'm doing a regular 9-to-5 job. I'm doing the whole Clark Kent deal. And I'm coming in here, and I'm still out here being able to kind of keep up with these guys, you know, beat a few guys up. Of course, I'm going to get beat up along the way, too. It was awesome, you know. So that definitely helped me not only provide for my kids, but also help me pay for training, good nutrition, and all that stuff, and kind of get me going.
That's great. So Manny's talked about it, but like same thing, right? Like he was working jobs, training, in and out of the gym, you know, go to the job, go to training class, go to a job, do that. I think people, we've talked about it so many times, but like there's so many people out there that only see you under the lights, right? They only see the main event. They only see, you know, the sometimes 10 seconds of fighting, you know, or 25 minutes, whatever it is. They don't see everything that goes into it. They don't see what you are like having to actually do just to be able to train. You know, like you said, working a 9-to-5, probably exhausted, wanting to be with your family, but then getting your butt in the gym. And it's like, people don't understand the drive and the motivation, the determination that takes. Can you kind of touch a little bit on, I mean, we know your why is your family, right? And, but can you kind of touch what it's like being like where you're at, you know, going against the guys in the gym that this is all they do? Like, what is that like, and how does that motivate you or unmotivate you?
Well, it's definitely, there could be some rough days, rough nights, you know. Some guys, they just have a lot more in the tank than you do, you know. Like you said, work that 9-to-5. You know, I have 3 kids now, so there's a newborn at home. So you got to really dig deep. You know, there's some sleepless nights in there. And you go across these guys, and, you know, they could beat you down. And the thought in your mind is like, man, maybe I'm not that good. Maybe this just isn't for me, you know. But you have to keep in context. You got to remember, you know, this guy slept last night. You know what I mean? This guy didn't go to work. This guy didn't have to wake up at 5 o'clock this morning. You know, this guy just woke up, rolled into the gym, fully vamped up, ready to go, you know? So in that case, you got to keep it in context, you know? So for me, it always keeps me motivated. Not only that, it pushes me. It's like, because obviously I would like to get to a point where I'm doing what I love, my passion, solely that, to provide income and a lot more for my family, you know? But it's definitely, it's always going to lean towards the more motivated side than anyways. That's when you differentiate if you got the passion or not, I feel like. Some people will be like, you know what, I'm just too tired. I can't do it. A lot of days I feel like that. You know, I get out of work and I'm like, you know, screw this. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to lay down. I just want to eat. I want to eat some pizza. I want to hug my babies and just do nothing, you know. But you're like, hey, you did enough of that in your life. You partied a lot in your life. You know, do you really want this? Let's get after it, you know.
And I don't think people realize that, not just a fighter, but any athlete, your window's small.
Yep.
You don't have a lot of time. And so with that in mind, have you set like a goal for yourself that to say, look, if I don't make it to Bellator or the UFC or for a long period of time, there's a lot of times Bellator has like a local show and they'll bring on guys for like a 1-fight contract and you fight, and if you do good, they'll sign you. But have you set your own goals to say, these are the things I want to accomplish, and if I don't do that, I need to stop wasting my time because I still have this role as a dad, or are you just completely sold out and knowing that it's going to work out? Because I've been at both. I've been at like, no, this is all I want to do. I don't care if I fight local for 20 years. And it's like, well, no, the other side of me is like, no, I have to, if I don't get to this point, if I don't make this much money, then I need to stop.
Right.
You know, because you're always battling yourself. Like, so what are some of the goals that you have or some of the things you want to accomplish while in this sport?
Well, when I first got into it, the thought was just like I think anybody who kind of gets in the sport and thinks about truly competing, the thought is, I want to be in the UFC.
Yo, 100%.
I want to be UFC champion. You know, at the time, I was like, I want to be like GSP.
Yeah.
I want to be like Anderson Silva. You know, I want to be like Matt Hughes. Like, I want to be a champion, this and that. But honestly, you talk about window, I'm 34 years old.
Yeah.
So my window is pretty close to shut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I got to push now. That's the reason why it gets me up earlier in the morning, gets me doing extra rounds, gets me doing this. Because that window is closing. With that being said, I'm a lot more mature at the age that I'm at now.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not realistic for me to think, oh, I want to be UFC champion, this and that. Because I do have a family. I do have kids. I do have to provide. This whole fighting ordeal is not feeding my kids as of now, you know. So I have to be a little bit more realistic. And my time frame is once my youngest baby, who's 2 months, you know, just turned 2 months.
New.
Yeah.
You knew.
Yeah. Tiny. Shouts to Tatum. But yeah, I set it at the 2-year mark. Once that my son is at 2 years of age, because I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm already missing from my other 2 sons and all that, and I know it's hard and it's taxing on my family and all that. I'm hoping they understand what I'm trying to instill in them later on in life and all that. And of course, they love me no matter what. I'm a superhero to them. But I want to set it at the 2-year mark. If my career hasn't progressed or isn't where, regardless of any excuse, because I'm not one to have excuses, there's always reasons why you didn't do it, why you didn't make this and that. But that's all out the door when it comes to my family. So the thought is at the 2-year mark, if I'm not where I'm at, in my career-wise that is, then I have to really, really think about hanging it up or going a different route.
Yeah.
Maybe something that's going to... my body's still going to be intact. My brain's still going to be intact. I'll still be able to provide for my family, you know?
Well, if you look at nowadays, especially in the heavier weight classes, even now as a whole, I would say, but traditionally it used to be the heavier weight classes. There'd be guys in their like late 30s that were just getting better, and I think a lot of it is because just not only the maturity, but the knowledge you have of the sport when you're that age. Like if you look at like a Jose Aldo, or Frank Mir still competing, or even Josh Barnett, you know, or I don't know if he actually retired, but there's all these guys that were heavier that get better with age, if you will. Do you feel like that's helped you in your MMA career because you are older, you have more maturity, you think about things a little bit different, and maybe you're not that you're not willing, but you're smart enough to know, like, I don't need to be in a barn burner to make an impact or to move up, because I'm just going to dominate you. Like I'm going to win that way, and that's going to propel me to get to that next level. Like what are your thoughts on that? And have you changed your training style because of the knowledge that you have now?
You know, you kind of hit the nail on the head. You know, as you get older, you start thinking there's things that are breaking on me that aren't fixing like they used to.
Yeah.
So the thought is I need to be a lot more smarter. When you're younger, you think, I got to work harder. I got to be faster. I got to be stronger.
Yep.
You know? But the older you get, you got to think, man, I want to do this a little bit longer, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more smarter.
Yeah.
So my training regimen has changed in the sense that I got to be cardio based because there's these young kids who just have this tank for days.
Yep.
So I definitely want to make
annoying.
sure. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. No matter what, they're like little crackhead babies or something. You can't stop them. Yeah. So I got to have a cardio, and also I'm not all about that hard sparring deal anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you see a lot of fighters the older they're getting, they're not so much. Oh, I got to spar all the time, hard sparring all the time. You take all this damage by the time fight comes, you don't have anything. Maybe someone younger, the younger version of me, could have went through that and like, oh, it's nothing. That's what I needed to grow. But me being older, I don't need any of that, you know. And also, I think about what I need to work on. I'm not so focused on, hey, I'm pretty decent at this. Let me just work on that, because I'm catching the damage, especially at an older age.
Yep.
I'm slower. I'm not reacting as fast as I used to. My body's not moving where my mind is moving. And a lot of it is just the acceptance with the maturity. Like, hey, I'm getting older. I can't do the things that I used to do. So if you want to continue to do this, Bryant, you're going to have to be a little bit smarter, you know? So yeah, it's definitely got to change with age and all that.
Have you had teammates that have kind of helped you, or has been a coach for you that has kind of told you or kept it real and been like, hey, look, you're not moving as fast as you used to. You aren't as conditioned as you used to be, you know, or like for me, I was very fortunate to have someone like Mark Munoz to say, hey, look, your body style, like the way you're shaped, you should never be going backwards. You should be going forward, or
Nice.
you know, don't try to do this move. This move's for little people. Like, you're a big guy. Like, don't do this.
Right.
And so I just had really good guidance. Is what I'm trying to get to. Who has been that person for you, whether coach or teammate?
You know, I have to say, as of now, Nolan Tickman, he helps me unlock some things. You know, he comes at me a lot more cerebral.
Yeah.
When coaches in the past, they look at me, I can be physical, like physically imposing or whatnot. So a lot of people will be like, oh, just take this guy out, or just do this, like simple instructions that don't always work.
Yeah.
Because you go to plan A, doesn't work. And if all you had was plan A, then what are you going to do? But Nolan Tickman, he's kind of a lot more cerebral. He'll sit back, he'll see what I'm good at. Things that I don't see. Because I'm so stuck in my ways. Most fighters at any age, or athlete, period, or human being for that matter, you know, we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
But Nolan Tickman, he's found a way to come at me cerebral and kind of see what things that I'm good at and what I got to press forward. You know,
That's pretty cool.
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer for this next question, but like, I loved watching my opponents, you know, fights and watching film on them. And I'd watch a little bit on my own, but we didn't, back when I was fighting, people wouldn't bring like cameras or set up their phones and stuff. But what do you like doing? Do you like watching yourself and seeing, okay, I need to improve on this? You know, every time I throw a jab, I drop my shoulder or whatever. Or do you like watching opponents film? Because I've heard both from great fighters, from champions. You know, there's guys like Cerrone who doesn't even watch his opponent's film. He's just like, I just need to practice on the things I need to get better at.
Right.
And, you know, you ask some people and they'll say he had a great career. You ask other people's opinions and they'll say that, you know, he's a journeyman. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't think people's opinions really matter because they're not the ones competing. Now, if it's your coaches or your teammates, it's different. But, like, what do you like doing in preparation for competition?
Whenever I have any sparring going on or anything like that, you know, I like to video as much as I can. I like to see what I did.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll see things and I'll have to break it down. I have to slow it down. I have to see what I did, how I got caught, and obviously how I can keep that from happening again. As far as watching film on my opponents, I play mind tricks on myself.
Yeah.
So I can watch film on my opponent and I can make him seem like this absolute monster. And it just gets in my head and I'm like, this guy is just going to dominate me, whether it be on the feet or be on the ground touching me up. And you can pretty much lose the fight right there in that moment before you even went in there. So you're like, this guy's way better than me at this and that.
Yeah.
Look what he did here. Oh, he took this guy out. He's probably going to take me out, this and that. And it's just to the point where you can't even control it anymore. Once
Yeah.
you've kind of lost that confidence and that thought, that whole mental breakdown was just so key for me personally, at least.
Yeah.
And I do hear things like you said with Cowboy Cerrone. I did hear on Mayweather. They asked Mayweather, you know, about him in regards to, you know, watching film and training. He says I heard he trains the same way for every fight. No fight is different for him.
I've seen that too.
So that's kind of how I look at it too. Even Kobe Bryant, he watched a ton of film on himself, but I didn't hear him so much say that he focused on film of his opponent and all that.
I mean, for Mayweather, it's hard when you're 50-0.
It is. Yeah, it is.
To change anything.
Very true.
I did something wrong.
Very true.
You know, because now you're making guys adapt to you and to your style.
Correct.
It's like if you know how to beat me, you have the blueprint. Like, come do it.
Right.
You know, I think it's interesting because a lot of fighters do have families. A lot of fighters maybe don't have the same motivation that other guys do. So now, being that you are at a later age in your career, and you already know, like, hey, at 2 years, if my career hasn't progressed, like, I'm gonna stop. Let's just say that happens. What do you do, or how have you prepared for life after fighting? Because I don't think there's a lot of guys that ever, and we talked about it on the last episode. You know, MLB guys, NBA guys, NFL guys, they don't prepare for life after fighting. You know, we were talking a little bit off air, and you're a smart dude. You know, you have, in what you're doing for your day job, it's not like everyone can go and do that. You have different ambitions, and so what, in a perfect world, let's just say you fight till you're 40. What do you want to do, or what are some of the things that you want to accomplish after you're done fighting?
I mean, if I got good enough to make a name, even locally, the idea is to kind of gather some investors, kind of open up my own little gym. Because I love teaching. You know, it's kind of awesome for me. I love like passing on the knowledge that I have. Honestly, that's the end goal for me at this point in time. Like I said, I've kind of made peace with, I want to be UFC champ and all that. I love to be able to pass on my knowledge, you know, and to further that, my kids, you know, I know a lot of athletes, they have that issue to where you're an athlete your whole life. All you did was train. That's all you did. So now that you're not competing, you don't really have a reason to train. But now what do you do with your life? I'm definitely going to try my best to kind of invest and instill in my kids. You know, I want my kids to get there. I want to kind of build a foundation that I didn't necessarily have. Like, if my dad could have done the things that I want to do for my kids at that age, because he was there, but he wasn't there. You know, he was deployed, this and that, and I get it, I understand. He's trying to lay a different, you know, foundation, put a roof over my head. But if I can instill that, like, perseverance, that hard work, a lot of the things that I learned at a later age now, or sooner than I had to learn it on my own, you know, it's their success. There's no cap on it at all, you know. So that's definitely where my focus is going to be. Is going to be my kids for sure.
That's pretty cool, because you have something. You wouldn't have had this. We keep referring to being later in life, but you wouldn't have. I think about it in myself. Like, if I didn't have the knowledge and the willpower and the maturity I have now, when I was 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, you know, like, I wouldn't be the same person I am. So it's hindsight's always 20/20, right? You have the drive and motivation now, you have the maturity now, and you've set goals and limits for yourself. Like, I think that in itself, as like a father, like, being able to give that to your kids, letting them know when they're at an age where they really understand, like, they might understand now, but when they really understand, oh wow, my dad was working, pursuing his dream, hustling, and then you got guys like Ben that, oh, they're tired, so they don't go work out. You know what I mean? But, like, being able to have that, just that example, and that's one of the reasons why I want to start competing. Like, not at a professional level, obviously. Like, I just want to compete just to show my kids when they're at an age later, you know, look, your dad did this started at 33, and, you know, maybe it took me until I was 36, but, you know, I competed, I did it, I showed up, I put the work in. It's not about the sport or whatever the event is. It's about putting the time into something that you chose to dedicate yourself to. I think that in itself is kind of like what you're saying is that's something to be able to pass down to your kids.
For sure.
And, you know, I wish the world had more of that, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like we live in such a, we've said it so many times, but we live in such a soft society now where it's like, dude, there's just too many soft people. Like, you know, someone says one wrong thing, or you show up because you don't want to go do this job because you think you're better. Whatever the case is like we're just so soft as a culture now where it's like we need to get back to just being gritty and being hardworking.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like take that from our parents. All of our parents have something in common here. They all worked freaking hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Like that's what they have in common. Our generation, what do we have in common? Some of us work hard, some don't. Some are great at some things. Some run their fingers, to bash people through social
Keyboard
media.
gangsters.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, what the heck? Like, what? I don't want to pass that crap on to my kids.
Yep.
I want to instill in them hard work, dedication, determination, and what it takes to get there.
Yep.
That was really long-winded, but I basically wanted to say all of that
No, I
to
love it. I love
have
it.
you basically walk us through your day. Like you have a job, you're a fighter, you have kids, you're a husband. Like walk us through what a day in the life of Bryant looks like, because maybe that might make somebody be like, oh shoot, I always talk about and cry about not having time.
Yeah.
I think I can make some time if this guy's doing it.
Right. Well, you kind of said it. With all that going on, you have to find a way. You got to find a space for something.
Yeah.
So I came to the thought, why not just break it down as much as possible? So I wake up about 4:30. On select days, I'll take care of the baby, change him, feed him. Then I'll get on my clothes and I'll go on my run. I'll run for a minimum of 2 miles. Come back. I got to get in the shower. Then I got to get both my sons dressed and ready. Got to get them fed breakfast, and then I got to take them to school, and then I go to work. And then I notice on my lunch hour, if instead of my lunch hour eating, and I utilize that, my lunch hour to actually get some kind of work in, I will. I'll run, or I'll go to the gym, and I'll try to get some shadow boxing in or whatnot, and try to, let's say, get some kind of calisthenics going on.
Yeah.
Because that time right there, for me, is key, because that's less time that I have to spend away from my family, So after that, I'll get out of work like 5 o'clock. Typically, I'll take my kids. I'll take them home to their mom and all that, and then I'll either run for 2 miles, but most days I'll get to the gym. I'll get an hour to two of some training, whether it be some jits or some Muay Thai, try to get some work in. Come home, I have to try to spend some kind of time, whatever time I have left over, kiss my baby, hang out with my boys, tuck them in, tell them hi, and somehow fit some food in there, and also some time with my wife. I hate to put her on the bottom of the list, but she'd say I'm lying if I said that she's at the top of my list. I'm definitely gonna give her a lot of thanks and credit for that, because she stuck it out, and I know it's hard for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she stuck it out for me, because it's not typical. When she signed up for this, I know her idea wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna have a husband who goes to work and then tries to train full time on top of that. Like, when is he gonna be home and all that? So I credit her a lot for that.
That's huge. A lot of people don't have that support system.
Yeah, it's really hard, and we struggle. We get in our fights. We're not some perfect couple where she just supports me 100%, because it has to be give and take.
Yeah.
And that's a battle in itself.
Heck yeah.
But that's pretty much
That's a full day.
Yeah.
That's a very full day.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even want to go to the gym at night just because I want to spend time with my family.
Yeah. I
See, like
respect that though.
but
I respect that.
Well, it's twofold, right?
Yeah.
Like, I choose to not do certain things. But at the same time, I'm never going to get to a goal that I have if I don't choose to undo some of those things.
Right.
So it's all a choice, like in the season you're in, like you're actually pursuing this. I just think I want to pursue it. But it's all perspective, and things take choice, and it is hard sometimes. And my wife will tell me a lot of the time, she'll be like, why don't you go? She's like, you don't have to be here every single night to like do these things. And I was like, you're right, I don't, but I want to.
Right.
Like, that's what I want to be doing in this season of my life. Like, I want to be as present as I can for you and for our kids, and it's me choosing to. Like, do I miss going to the gym at night and training? Yeah, of course, but it's a season. I'll get back to it.
That's right.
So just hearing it, dude, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It is. And I don't think, that's why I love having people on here that can open up, because like Ben said earlier, everyone sees us, or not me anymore, everyone sees fighters or you on the football field under the lights. They don't see the preparation and the sacrifices that it takes to like really get to know like not only what it takes to be a fighter, but the people you're affecting. Because I would play mind games with myself where I'd be like, I'd go to the gym and there'd be teammates or coaches that were like, "What's up, Manny? How you doing?" And they'd be happy to see you, but you don't see at home your wife's pissed off,
right?
Because you're gone all day and your kids are missing you, especially in the summertime when they're not going to school, and they don't see that. But when you're pursuing something and you're fully committed to it, there's going to be sacrifices that get done. Like NFL players, NBA players, MLB players, they're constantly training. Like the last episode, Kent said they take like a week or two off after the season. Then they go right back to training to get ready for the next season, whether it's injuries that have to heal and there's therapy for that, or strength and conditioning that they get started on. There's all these things that go into play, and I think that's why it's cool that there's a small window for athletes, but at the same time, I think you have to cram all those things in there because you yourself are like, oh, there's such a small window, but you said teaching is one of your passions. Is something that you feel like you want to do after. Do you feel like you're in debt to the sport and therefore you want to teach that because you had examples, or is it because of the opposite? Did you not have good examples and you'd be like, no, like I want to be a good example for these kids and for my own kids and my wife to say, hey, look, this sport gave us these opportunities. We got to share it with everybody else, because sometimes in business it's the complete opposite. No one wants to share their secrets. No one wants to help people out. Everyone's like, no, this is all mine. Right. So where does that mentality come from to want to share the wealth, essentially?
Well, like they said about like ancient Egyptians, they would throw all this stuff in their sarcophagus or whatever, their coffins, whatever, but they just die and all their stuff would go with them. We're in the same thing with that knowledge. Why not spread it, I mean, there's kids who come up to me all the time and they think, oh, I'm fantastic and all that stuff. And me, I think I'm just a regular guy. I think I'm barely decent. But if I could somehow get them decent, or to get them where I'm at their age, they can go way further. And I love the idea of helping other people grow. Obviously, I'd like to grow myself too. But it's amazing to just kind of like plant that seed in someone else and then just watch them just kind of blow up and bloom on their own. And a lot of times it's just like the tiniest words, and it builds this confidence within them. Yeah. And then you see where they're at like a year later, and they're like, yeah, man, because of you, I saw you get after it. I kind of want to do the same thing. You kind of inspire me, this and that. And that's awesome. So I want to be able to teach that and just kind of like spread like wildfire. You said people are so soft and all that, and it's so true in this day and age. People are so sensitive. But of enough of us, because somehow we ended up on the same frequency for a reason. Yeah. It's because we're hungry. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're trying to get after it too. And if one person sees that and another person sees that from them, and it just spreads like wildfire, we just kind of overturn this whole soft mentality. So the idea of trying to teach somebody is just awesome. Yeah. And I feel like that's what you guys are doing too. You guys are kind of giving back to everyone, because I mean, you guys aren't like out there driving Bentleys based off of what we're doing here right now. Yeah. So it just shows you how much more passionate about what we do is, and how much more that spreads to people.
True, we both were at our jobs before this.
Well, and I don't think people realize that when you teach, you're learning too. You know what I mean? That's why I love having people on here. It's like we're not the teachers per se, but we're the hosts, and we get to hear your story. And we're like, man, I learned something from listening to Bryant. Our hope has always been, and we've talked about it before, but our hope has always been is that someone listening or watching learns from you. We've shared our story enough, and people know who we are to an extent, and so we want to be able to give guests like you a platform to say, no, like this is who I am, this is why I do the things I do, and now we're sharing that with others. I
love that.
It's so true too, because you made me just be like, dang, man, I'm always saying like I don't have time, because I'm not usually one of those people that say I don't have time, but lately the season of life I'm in, I'm always saying, oh, I don't have time to do that, and it's because I'm making the choice not to do it. But I'm like listening to you and following you on Instagram. For people that don't know, we literally just met today. We follow each other on Instagram. We're both Filipinos, so we tight now.
You're probably cousins somewhere.
Seriously, probably cousins down the line or something. But no, it's the same thing where I'm like, dude, I need to stop using my newborn as my crutch. Like, you know, like, and it's not that I don't want to be at home. Like, I love being at home with my family. I love that I get the ability to choose that. But it's also like, yeah, I need to get myself back in shape. I need to lose the dad pounds that I've gained.
Okay.
I need to get back in the gym. I need to stop making excuses. My kids don't wake up. They're not up at 4:30. My wife isn't up at 4:30.
Exactly.
I need to listen to my own advice sometimes and like quit complaining and just change it, right?
Yep.
So even these moments now, and Manny's talked about it so many times, where he's at a point in his career where he's always around people living out their dreams or pursuing their dreams and their passions, and the network of people we've been lucky enough to have. Like we have the ability to do things if we want to do them.
Yep.
And it's like just making that choice to do it. It's like it's hard to sometimes be like, well, my situation right now doesn't allow me to. But me getting up an extra hour and a half early, that's not a situation. That's just making the choice, right?
Right.
So just listening to you say that, I'm like, dang, dude, I got no excuse. Because I already get up at 5:36. But I could just set up a little bit sooner and get a workout in. I have a full garage gym.
Why not utilize
Like I literally have a full gym garage. So if you lived closer, I would let you come use it.
I'll be down for the trip.
Dude, I literally have everything. But it's like I need to stop making those excuses, right? Like I already said to myself before we started your interview, I was like, I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna help my wife with dinner, I'm gonna spend some time with my kids, and then I'm just gonna watch TV. But now I'm thinking, shoot, maybe I should work out.
Just get one quick one.
Yeah, just a light workout.
I think it's starting it. Everyone always talks about their fear of failure, or like when you started Hidden House, you guys weren't successful right away.
No, dude, it took like 5 years.
You know what I mean? It took time, and I think people, because of social media, and we bash social media a lot, but there's obviously a ton of positives that can come from it. But I think everyone wants that instant gratification. At the same token, all the knowledge is out there. So if you guys want to go do something, like go learn it. You can now learn it on your own.
Right.
You know, is it great to go to school and get an education? 100%. But there are things that school doesn't teach you that you can go learn on your own or go experience them, and then you grow.
Right.
You know? And so like you guys earlier were talking about that discipline and the dedication to something. And it's like, I wish I had that knowledge because I was a young parent. Like I had my son when I was 18. And now like hearing you talk about the things you want to instill in your kids, I'm trying to like rush all that in right now because he's 15, and I'm like, okay, I got to teach him all these things super quick because I got 3 more years with him.
That's right.
Like I'm done. And so I think it's neat, and I think you have a really good perspective on things because of what you've gone through. So it's something admirable, you know, for you to have and not give in to your surroundings, because a lot of people, they're always like, oh no, you know, it was drug infested and there's gang activity, and it's like Richard Sherman grew up in Compton, went to Compton High School,
right,
got a football scholarship to go play at Stanford University, an Ivy League, well I don't know if it's not Ivy League, but one of the most prestigious universities in the world and hardest universities to get into, and he is now a professional athlete,
right,
all because he made a choice. And so I think for you, and like you touching on it, I think your choices have a lot to do with where you end up.
Right.
You know, almost 100%, because it's, people call it luck. I love when people say it's when hard work meets opportunity. It's not luck. People have worked for that. It's like when you land, because I remember I knocked down this big dude with an overhand right, and I was supposed to lose because he's 6'4", 260, and I was just a stepping stool for him to get to Bellator, and I knocked him out. And people were like, oh, he got lucky. Well, do you know how many times I trained that overhand
threw
right?
that punch? Yep.
Yeah, or like that angle, or if he does this, you throw, and it's like it was just the right opportunity.
Yep.
And I worked for it. And so, what are some of the things that you like to do to get you to that lucky situation? Like while you're training, what would you say your go-to train? You got to train stand-up wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all that stuff.
Right.
But every fighter has something that they specialize in, or that they're just better at than the next art. What would you say yours is?
Small overall, probably like kickboxing, Muay Thai. You know, I got hands. You know, I can't lie. You know, I got some power in my hands.
Yeah.
You know, and I try to lie to myself about it. I'm like, no, it's not really that, but I've heard it too many times that, man, you hit hard as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of pride myself on it, you know, and it's like a go-to for me. I tell people be like, man, you really caught me with that overhand right.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I keep that in my back pocket for when I'm in danger.
Except for when you need
right.
it.
I know I could throw that overhand right, and I'm going to crack you with it every time.
Yeah.
Even if I don't hit you right on the noggin, it's going to hit some part of your body, and you're going to feel that power, you know. But definitely my stand-up. And it's just, for me, it's fun. It's so fluid for me at this point. It's just so fun. And I get it. My guy, you know, everyone has their weak point. You know, mine could be the ground. You know,
Yeah.
you guys could use that for later. But, but you know, I like kicking things and I like punching things. That's kind of why I got in the sport. You know, I didn't get in the sport to kind of be a jiu-jitsu fighter. You know what I mean? Or submission specialist or wrestler and all that, which is all cool and I respect all that. And it's things that I've been working on up to this point, but I love being a stand-up fighter. I love being able to make someone miss. You know,
Yeah.
I love being able to touch someone at any point in time. You know, hands and kicks, you know.
Have you only done MMA fights?
Yeah. I mean, well, I've done a few jiu-jitsu tournaments. You know, I did Jiu-Jitsu World League like a few years ago or something like that.
That's what's freaking hard, man.
Yeah, it is. I remember that tournament, I guess I was rolling with some stud or something. I didn't really know anything of him. And then I controlled him the whole time. You know, I was like, yeah, I dominated him. I got up. The score was 11-1 him. I was like, oh, what did I just miss? It? Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I was like,
points.
Completely lost. Like, I controlled this guy the whole time. How did I just lose 111? You know, jiu-jitsu is just not for me, I guess. You know.
But have you thought about doing like kickboxing or boxing?
My wife's told me that. She's like, you know, you like being on your feet. You know, wouldn't it make sense just to transition over to kickboxing or to...
Well, because it seems like more and more that there's more, and I get why, but there's more injuries in MMA because you're using your whole body. Whereas like in stand-up, you can focus on movement. You don't have to worry about... There's always going to be weird angles and all that stuff. And not to discredit boxing or kickboxing, it's just different.
Right.
You're not using your whole body with wrestling or jiu-jitsu, you know, so when you take that out of the equation, it's like, and you like being on your feet, like why not try it, you know?
You know, I'm definitely open to try it.
Yeah.
But obviously my heart's going to be in MMA. I just like the idea of having options.
Yeah.
Whether it be how they're attacking me or I'm attacking them, it's kind of fun knowing that, hey, this guy could take me down at any time.
Yeah.
I could piece him up on the feet, but he could take me down and kind of control me and change the whole dynamic of the fight, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's fun for me because sometimes you go into a fight, you have a game plan, you get in there, ding, ding, you forgot the whole game plan. I'm just going to go in there and just brawl this guy, and I'm just going to pick him up and try to slam him, you know what I mean? So it's nice to have that option. Kickboxing, boxing, I may forget, you know what I mean? I may go in there and be like, oh, this guy just punched me. Okay, I'm going to kick this guy. So, you know what I mean?
Could you imagine?
I'm going to choke this guy.
You fighters are psycho.
Yeah.
In the best possible way.
Is it cool being, you know, having like a Filipino culture and then also being half, I don't know, I always say black, African American.
No, I go black.
I don't know what the
I'm not
correct
African,
terminology is. But do you is there a sense of pride knowing that? Because there's not a lot of Filipino MMA fighters.
Right.
You know, there's some guy like Manny Pacquiao, Nonito Donaire. They're the probably two biggest Filipino boxers. But like in MMA, there's really not like anyone that's like, oh man, that's the best Filipino dude.
Right.
Munoz was
That's like
for
Munoz,
a long
that's
time.
like
And yeah, other than that, like there's really not. Do you have a sense of pride doing that, or do you not let that get in the way?
Honestly, I try not to let it overwhelm me. I don't want to be known as, oh, that Filipino fighter. You know what I mean? But there is a huge sense of pride.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of history behind it. And like you said, it's not a lot of big name, legendary Filipino fighters. You know, I couldn't even name like a UFC champion that was Filipino. You know,
I know of.
And I know there's probably a few that are like in one championship and all that. But you know, out here in the West, you know, we don't really know anything about that. So I pride myself on it. I would love to be known as, you know, he was that black and Filipino fighter. He carried both sides, carried both flags.
Yeah.
You know, because as a youngster, I battled with that a lot, honestly. Especially where I came from. We spoke earlier. I grew up where there's just black and Mexicans, and maybe there's a few white people who acted black and Mexican. So I was probably one of, I don't even know, like hundreds, you know what I mean, if not more, that were black and Filipino.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what the hell I was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Neither did anybody else. People would ask me, hey, why is your mommy white? You know what I mean? And be confused because she's so light-skinned, you know? And I remember I felt like I wasn't accepted by one side, you know. I felt like I wasn't black enough for one side. I felt like the other side I wasn't Filipino enough. So I was just on the fence. But once I became okay with myself, I was like, man, I love who I am. I love being different. I love being other. And I carry that same sense of pride now that I'm older.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm black and Filipino. I'm mixed. And I'm going to put it down for the mixed kids. You know?
But now you can be that example for someone. Because I remember growing up, all the fighters were little Mexican dudes. There was never a big Mexican dude. I was like, oh, I want to be like that guy.
Right.
It was like Chavez or De La Hoya because they were smaller. And so maybe you can be that example for those type of kids. You know, it's awesome.
Yeah, the example of literally just being comfortable with who you are.
Yeah.
That's what we need more of.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
it doesn't matter where you came from, where your parents came from. Like just being comfortable with who you are.
Right.
Like this, I think that's something that unfortunately is obviously harder to do than me saying it out loud. But I always say this, but I'm a big believer in you got the choice.
Yep.
You know, like yes, circumstances are different to a lot of different people, but you have the choice to be able to be who you want to be.
Yep.
Don't let things stop you. Just, head down, grind it out.
That's it.
But, man, thank you so much for taking the time to
Thank you
talk
guys.
with us
Yeah, man.
after hearing how
Awesome.
busy your days are. Dang. Manny?
Yeah, no. Where can people find you? Like if they want to message you or thank you or train with you, what's your social media handles?
Bryant the Beast Shell. It's Bryant like Kobe, you know. Bryant the Beast Shell. You find me. You find Bryant Shell. I'm the only Shell. Like Shell. Check me out over there. I train out of Kings Anaheim. Putting it down for them.
Yeah.
Riding their banner. I want to thank them. Big shouts to them.
So cool. Maybe I'll see you at the gym one of these days.
Yeah, come through.
Whenever I freaking get there.
I'm gonna tell hey, beat this guy up.
Seriously, I would like it. I'm weird.
you would.
I would like it. My wife thinks I'm a freak. She's like I forgot. Before we end, I was boxing and I got caught with Mario overhand right. My boxing coach loves the overhand right, and he's got like cement hands.
Okay.
Mexican style boxer, just heavy hands. And he caught me at the overhand right, and I came home and I was like, I forgot how good it felt to get punched in the face. And she looked at me and she's like, you're literally a freak.
Yeah, we are.
I was like, dude, it feels good because it made me be like, oh crap, I can't do that again.
Yep.
Like,
But it almost makes you like want to work on your defense. You're like,
yeah, because
okay,
he
gotta
caught
do
me with
something
it and
else.
it pissed me off. And I was like, damn. I mean, he's really good, obviously, but I don't know. She thinks I'm crazy.
All right, well, let's follow up this conversation off air.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank
Appreciate you, Ben.
Appreciate you.
Pleasure
Thanks,
once
Yes, sir.
again. And remember, guys, that everything was impossible until someone did it. So, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/The Fight Within Podcast. Find us on all audio platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, anywhere you guys like to listen to it. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for continuing to listen to it and watch it. We can see the growth on our analytics and just want to thank you guys for supporting us. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Kingdom Nutrition. Make sure you guys go and visit their site over at kingdomnutrition.com and enter promo code MFW10 to get 10% off your next purchase. Kingdom Nutrition carries the best sports supplements on the market. They manufacture and curate their own line of supplements with the highest quality ingredients, including a lean protein, weight gainer protein, pre-workout, BCAAs, and an array of other products. They've recently created the world's first vegan chickpea protein, and it tastes amazing. I'm a big dude. I like food, and I like chocolate. So when they told me it comes in chocolate and vanilla, I got really happy. But if you're a workout enthusiast and you want to change up your diet, change up your protein, go check out their vanilla chickpea protein. It mixes well with anything. It'll blend great with a smoothie. So to get your hands on any of these products, just make sure and go visit kingdomnutrition.com. Remember to enter promo code MFW10 and get 10% off your next purchase. Let's go.